If you're an experienced EV owner, you're probably not going to learn anything new here, but if you're a relative EV rookie, after a look at the basics, you're definitely in the right place. This is the Kia Soul, and the one on your screen has a gasoline engine. We're starting here because the Soul is one of just a few small affordable cars that comes in gasoline or electric like this one. I'll mainly be using this car to show you some examples and demonstrations that we'll be seeing from plenty of other electric cars as well. In 2020, electric cars are very similar to conventional cars in a lot of important ways. They come as cars or crossovers, flexible hatchbacks like this Nissan Leaf we'll be seeing from later, and they're easy to drive and packed with the latest safety and connectivity tech, and they feel and drive and operate pretty much the exact same way. They're even very similar under the skin in a lot of ways too. Both have a source of stored energy, that's the tank full of gas in your gasoline car or the battery full of electricity in your EV. And they both also have a device that turns that energy into motion. The engine in a gasoline-powered car, and in an electric car, we call that the motor. Let's meet a few of the other electric cars that we'll be seeing in this video and take a look at who builds them. This is the Model 3 from Tesla, and Tesla is the brand most well known for electric cars, since unlike virtually all other automakers for a very long time, electric cars are all they build. By the way, Tesla owners benefit from a dedicated network of charging stations like this called superchargers, meaning that they can refill at regular charging stations and at their own Tesla-only charging stations too. This is the Chevy Bolt, owned by my friend Steve, who we'll be hearing from later.
G'day, how you doing?
And that's Molson. Steve's Bolt is an affordable electric hatchback, just like this Nissan Leaf Plus, another famous electric car that's a bestseller and a favorite within the EV motoring community. And here's the Niro EV, another electric car from Kia. And from Jaguar, this is the I-Pace, a pioneering all-wheel drive luxury crossover and the first ever Jaguar to run entirely on electricity. This is the BMW i3S, and it's an electric hatch with a special range extender that is basically a small gasoline generator that can help keep its battery charged. It's the only electric I'll be showing you with that unique ability. A car's range is how far it can drive when its energy supply is full. That's gasoline or electricity. Most gasoline cars and crossovers have a range of many hundreds of kilometers, some even going over 1,000. Modern electric cars these days have a range of something like half of that of a gasoline car, depending on the models you're considering. The pricier Tesla models lead the way with range, and some can go in excess of 500 kilometers before you need to find a plug. On the more affordable side, selected versions of the Nissan Leaf and Soul EV come with a range of just under 400 kilometers, with the Niro EV coming in a little over 400. The Jaguar I-Pace can do about 380 kilometers on a charge. The BMW i3 can do about 200, and the Chevy Bolt does a little over 400. The range of all vehicles suffers when it's cold, where it takes more energy to drive the car. In a gas-powered car in the extreme cold, I'd expect to see the range fall by something like 5 to 10%. In an electric vehicle, when it's very cold out, I see the range dropping by something like 20 to 30%. In the I-Pace at 25 below, its 377 kilometer battery was still giving me just about 300 kilometers per charge, and that's with no effort to save energy by using the heater more sparingly and while fully enjoying the thrilling effects of electric all-wheel drive. So which electrics come with all-wheel drive? It's a popular feature among many Canadian shoppers. Well, none of the really affordable ones right now, sadly. Niro, Leaf, Soul, and Bolt are all front-wheel drive. Aside from our all-wheel drive Jaguar I-Pace, there are some other options for an all-wheel drive electric car as well, from Tesla, Porsche, and others, with more on the way, but you're shelling out big bucks, and electric trucks are coming soon too. So a quick look at some of the more popular pros and cons of gas versus electric. For instance, gasoline-powered cars can be refilled more conveniently for many drivers, they're more familiar to many drivers, they tend to be less expensive, and many can drive further than an electric car before you run out of fuel. Electric cars are new and cutting edge, and they don't produce any tailpipe emissions, and some shoppers like that. Their powertrains are also completely smooth and silent, or very close to it, where gas-powered cars tend to be much noisier. Let's talk about refueling, which we call recharging in an electric car, of course. You plug the car in to recharge, and that happens at one of 3 levels. Level 1 is your household outlet like this, and that's very slow, sort of a trickle charge, and it works just fine if your EV will regularly sit for extended periods. Level 2 is higher output, and you can have one installed at home, like this one on the side of my house, and you'll find Level 2 charging stations out in public too. You can use an app on your smartphone to track down the nearest charger to you, and some chargers are free while others are not. You'll probably find Level 2 chargers at certain malls, attractions, parks, and stores near you, possibly with a dedicated parking space. And that's because, unlike a gas-powered car, you can refuel your EV while you're shopping, or seeing a movie, or having dinner with some friends. This is a Level 3 charger, the fastest way to juice up your EV's battery. You don't install these at home, but you will find them out in public, and they run big power to recharge the electric car's batteries as quickly as possible. In many electric cars, plugging into a charger like this means you can go from nearly empty to nearly full in about an hour or less, or add over 100 kilometers of range to the battery in the time it takes you to grab a washroom break, coffee, and a snack. Here's how that looks in action. We're at a rest stop in Parry Sound, Ontario, at one of the newest chargers on the route between Toronto and Sudbury, which has seen Petro-Canada install several Level 3 fast chargers like this, more than doubling the access to fast charging along this 400-kilometer drive, and that adds plenty more options for places to stop and recharge if you need to. So I'm plugged into a DC fast charge station, which is the fastest way to recharge the battery in one of these, and I'll walk you through what that looks like. So Petro-Canada, in this case, has put a few of these up across the highway that I normally take from Sudbury to Toronto. These are fairly recent, and there's a few of these now, which means it's easier for me to make this trip by electric car and more confidently as well, especially when it's cold out and you've got less range. So that's what the charger looks like. So there's a control pad on there. You just tap your credit card, sort of like using pay at the pump. Hit a button, tap your credit card, hook the charger up to the car, and now it's charging. So at this point, it's showing me on the meter here that my battery is currently just under 50%, and that in 25 minutes it'll be at 80%. That's sort of the bang for the buck in terms of fast charging. So the battery can go from a very low level up to about 80% fairly quickly, and then it has to slow down to complete the last 20%. So this is just going to be sort of a quick top off. And with a level 3 fast charge station like this one, that's really easy to do because, again, this is running 920 volts of direct current power into that battery, and that's going to charge this up really, really quickly, except for that last 20% where it needs to slow down. On this fast charge station, I'm at 49. You just saw it jump to 50%. The time is now 3:46 p.m. I'm at 50%. I'm going to go in and get a coffee and probably take a little bio break in there and come back, and we'll see how much juice the battery's got in it. So we're almost done here. 18 minutes of charging, and we've gone from 43% to 70% in, well, 18, 19 minutes. So call it less than 20 minutes. And that's more than enough to get me home now. So I'm gonna just unplug it and shut this down. So it's much quieter now.
You saw me struggling a little bit to get that out, which is normal when the car is brand new, like this particular tester we're in. Once you've charged this up a few dozen times, that'll kind of loosen up and be easier. You just put your caps back on here. And let's go back inside and see what that gave us. So we're up to 272 kilometers now. We added about 30% to the battery in a little under 20 minutes in this particular vehicle on that particular DC fast charger. But an important note I'll leave you with here, if I was filling up a car or truck with gasoline at the gas station over there, which I do several times a week, I'd be filling the tank completely full because while you're parked there for a few minutes, it only takes a few minutes. I'm gonna fill the tank up. In the case of an electric car like this, because it does take longer to quote unquote refuel it, I'm kind of taking stock of how far I have to go and how long I want to be sitting on the charger. So in this case, the battery's not full, and that's completely fine. I know I've got about 150 or 160 kilometers left of driving. I know I've got at least 100 kilometers more than that, just in case of a detour or some kind of emergency. So now, even though the tank, as it were, isn't full, I'm completely comfortable to make the rest of the trip home. So let's go.
In a gasoline car, you refuel by stopping your trip for about 5 or 10 minutes, probably filling the tank completely and then carrying on. In an electric car, you can take a completely different approach, refueling while you're not using the vehicle.
So we're back from that quick charge earlier. We've got 84 kilometers left on the battery. I'm definitely not going to be driving that far tomorrow, but I'm still thinking I'll plug this in tonight. So I'll kind of show you how that works from here. So we just turn the car off. I've got this level 2 charger here. This is the side of my house, and the fuse panel is just on the other side of this wall. So this is running off the 220 volt wiring in the house. Just open this up, pop off that top cap, and that's all there is to it. You can just walk away at this point. I'm just going to pop back in here and show you what the charging time looks like according to the readout in the car. And so you can see there 24% is what was left in the battery. That was that 84 kilometers or so that we had left. And at the current charging level, temperature and so on, will be to 100% in 8 hours and 40 minutes, which is, call it early tomorrow morning. So at this point, you just get out, lock the car up, and that's it. Should point out here as well that flashing blue LED light on the dash is just a visual indicator of how charged the battery is. So if you wanted to, you could just say look out the window at the car and visually see what the progress of the charge was.
In any case, it's just like filling up a gas tank. Open this, stick this in here, and off you go. In one case, you'll stand around for a moment or two, rapidly adding hundreds of kilometers of range to your vehicle until you're done pumping gas, and in another, you'll park your car, plug it in, and walk away. Remember, you never have to fill the battery in an EV. For some owners, the occasional sip of DC fast charge once a week at the mall, or a slow and steady trickle charge at home and at work on level 1 is sufficient. That's the approach Steve Holmick takes with his Chevy Bolt, which trickle charges on level 1 while he's at home and while he's at work. In fact, the only time Steve's car isn't refueling is when he's driving it. Steve's worked out that this approach works perfectly for his commute.
All I do is get home and plug it in, and it's really nothing to it. It's quicker than filling up a car when you consider the time it takes.
And so you're on 120 volt trickle charging most of the time then?
Yeah, most of the time. That's pretty much all I use. If I go or am planning to go on a long trip, on a longer trip, I can charge it off the 220 overnight. Not a problem. It gets me down to past Parry Sound if you're talking distance wise, that kind of thing. So it's easy to do when you got this set up. And it's just as quick to plug in as what a 110 is. It's just a matter of putting a plug in and that's it.
Okay.
Charges up overnight.
And what's your commute to work one way, if you know off the top of your head?
I'm looking at the moment about 20 k's each way to work. Yeah, so it's more than enough to get me to and from work for a week without having a charge if I don't want it.
In terms of physically operating the vehicle, driving an electric car is about the same as driving a gasoline car. Let me show you with the Kia Soul EV.
Just want to show you how quiet this is.
So nothing much to it, but there are a few things to get used to. First, there's no noise or vibration when you're used to there being noise and vibration. No starter when you start the motor, no engine noise when you accelerate, no shifting gears, and that's because EVs are direct drive with no need for a transmission, or in a nutshell, they don't have any gears to shift. Plus, unlike a gasoline car, there's virtually nothing under the hood spinning or reciprocating, so there's no vibration. It's like turning on a ceiling fan, which glides up to speed without making a peep. And that's part of the reason why electric cars are pretty fun to drive. So with this Kia Soul EV, in addition to being virtually silent, it has a lot of power. It can go 0 to 60 as quickly as many sporty turbocharged compact cars. So when you press the throttle, it is pure magic. One of my very favorite things to do with this car was put it in sport mode and blast out of traffic lights, leaving other cars in the dust, zipping away rapidly, and all without making a sound. And the throttle response is so immediate it's nearly startling. And that's because direct drive means the only thing between 0 and 100% motor output is the switch in a circuit controlled by your right foot. The gas car has to do a bunch of things when you press down on the throttle to make the car go. The electric car, on the other hand, can go from 0 to 100% power output as fast as you can put your foot down. It is immediate. Here's a demonstration with a smoothie blender. When I turn it on, watch the electric motor go from doing nothing to spinning at full ice cube smashing power in the literal blink of an eye, and that is what electric car throttle response feels like. The Tesla Model 3 fires away like a monorail, no sound to be heard. The Jaguar I-Pace uses synthetic noise pumped in from the stereo to give the driver something to listen to, because its motors are also totally silent. It's also very quick and incredibly smooth. So driving an electric is just like driving a gas car, but one with a really responsive engine that doesn't make any noise or any vibration when you put your foot down. As you're rolling to a stop or coasting down a hill or braking for a traffic light, the wheels are spinning, but they're not being driven by the motor, they're just coasting. And those coasting wheels are actually spinning the motor rather than vice versa. This turns the motor into a generator that is now creating electricity and sending it back to the battery. So accelerating uses energy, but with regenerative braking you get a little bit of that energy back every single time you decelerate. Best of all, since regenerative braking can slow the vehicle down fairly quickly without actually using the brakes, your brakes last longer too. Some EVs, like the Kia Soul, give drivers the ability to control the effect of regenerative braking. Using these paddles, I can select multiple levels or turn the function off. In level 3, as soon as I release the throttle, the car slows down as if I've pressed on the brakes fairly aggressively, regenerating electricity in the process. In level 1, it decelerates slightly when I release the throttle, or in level 0, when I release the throttle, it just coasts along like a regular car. You can play with the settings on the fly as much as you like to cater to the sort of driving that you want to do. You'll watch all of this unfold on the instrument cluster, and the EV's instrument cluster is one of my favorite things about them. They tend to look really high-tech, offer customization, and use special exclusive displays and readouts to help you visualize what the electric motors and regenerative braking are doing, how to drive the most efficiently, and to help you keep up to speed on your remaining range, the drive mode you're using, and more. So, random fun facts and observations and things that I was surprised to learn people didn't know about electric cars. Number 1, electric cars have no tailpipe because they have no engine. That's also why they don't need an oil change, ever. Electric cars have a backup beeper for safety since if you're reversing, there's literally no other sound to alert people that you're nearby. The battery is often mounted in or just beneath the vehicle's floor. It's usually flat and wide, and when you put something flat and wide and heavy into the very bottom of a car, you automatically make it handle better. And that's why this Kia Soul EV, for instance, has a pretty eager steering and handling feel to go with its sporty acceleration. If you plug in overnight on a level 2 charger, your battery is full or very close to it every morning when you get up, and that means no stops at the gas station since instead you're fueling up your car while it's parked for the night. Meaning you wake up to a full tank every morning, and if you like, you can even have the car preheat or pre-cool itself for you ahead of time using grid power instead of power stored in the battery. So imagine every winter heading to work in a car that's got a full tank of fuel, is preheated for you, and never needs to go to the gas station. Well, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed creating it, and I hope you learned something useful and hopefully have a better sense of how driving an EV may or may not work for you.